So the Israeli Security Cabinet's approved the Gaza ceasefire agreement. What do you make of this?
أعتقد أن هناك
I think that there is the direction towards the finalizing the agreements at the time, and the moderate voices beat the extremist voices in this meeting, especially with the internal pressures applied on the Israeli government, whether from the people, the hostages, relatives, or the regular citizen, plus the external pressure applied by the United States of America and President, the US President, giving a certain time to the conflict parties to end the war and exchange hostages and detainees. I think this pressure resulted in passing the agreement today, in spite of the opposition applied by Ben Gvir and other ministers, and I think everything is gonna go the way it is planned to implement the agreement on Sunday and starting the release of hostages and detainees. In the first phase of this three-phase agreement, of course, there is an internal conflict taking place in the Israeli government, and it won't the agreement will not be implemented smoothly. There will be continuous attempts by some rich and other right-wing officials to try and obstacle this agreement, or at least achieve political gains that would empower them to run for the next elections, especially that the Israeli coalition after the Ben Gvir resignation today is not stable. He did not recommend or mobilize for anti-government efforts. He is keen on being in the political picture in the upcoming period, especially in the three-phase agreement.
Well, you mentioned these major disagreements within the Israeli government concerning the ceasefire agreement. How might they resolve themselves, these major disagreements?
There will be a political agreement. Netanyahu is not willing to oppose everyone, so there will be an agreement. According to the Israeli media, there has already been an agreement between the Israeli factions that the deal will, or the three phases of the deal will not be implemented if Hamas refrained from releasing the hostages. The Israeli forces will go back to shelling the Gaza Strip. And I think this internal agreement between the government factions and the coalition forming the government would be a point to overcome the pressure being applied by the right-wing officials on the Israeli government, so that there's an agreement that the government is working for the release of the hostages, and it's also keen on the Israeli national security. And it's also a consensus between the different factions in Israel that there is no future for Netanyahu during the upcoming period, and therefore he is not making enemies of the most important senior officials in the right wing, whether the military generals or the technocratic right-wing officials like Samrich and Ben Gvir.
And of course, Israel hasn't stopped attacking Gaza since the announcement of the ceasefire. Do you expect that Israel will up the attacks, escalate the attacks on Gaza in the coming hours?
Of course, unfortunately, this is highly expected from the Israeli forces, especially the extremist factions who are carrying out the plans of the military generals, whether in the south or north of Gaza. And we expect the continuing shelling of innocent civilians during the next few hours till the date of the implementation of the ceasefire on Sunday. Yes, I expect it to continue.
Well, thank you very much. That was the managing editor of Al Ahram joining us from Cairo, Mohamed Ezz Eldin. Thank you very much for joining us here on Q News.